Hello and welcome to Wallas Toy Reviews. I am Wallas, the Polish toy guy, and today I want to talk about my newest Transformer, which is probably also one of my oldest Transformers once I think about it. This is G1 Warpath, who premiered in 1985, thus making this toy older than me. And the most interesting part about all this toy for me is that I bought it extremely cheap considering its age. I bought this toy for around a single whopping $1 during one of the last antique markets that I attended. And boy, I wish I could find more bargains like this. Of course, as a result of such cheapness, I can't expect to have a perfect condition toy, so I think one of the rolling wheels on mine is slightly chipped and the tip of the barrel is missing, but I don't mind. For such a price, this is still an extremely cool find. And another matter that also contributes to my happiness about this toy is that I like the character, the weapons expert of the original Autobots from the original Transformers line, who usually inserted some kind of explosion sounds into his lines. Really fun character who also transforms into a tank that ends with its main gun in the robot's chest. What's not to like? Also, at 7 cm, this toy is quite nice. Lots of grey, lots of dark red. This is just nice to look at. Look at these tread patterns. Of course, the treads don't work, but still we have all these nicely detailed wheels, some kind of scuffing I can't wash off. At the bottom we have the rolling wheels, like said, not really useful for rolling right now because of their age and their cheapness, but at least we can see information that this is in fact the real deal and not some bootleg. So that's nice. And the back is fairly boring, but the front, the sides, that looks really nice. Not too many details, but enough to actually make this interesting to look at. Especially that, once I look at this up close, the main turret is asymmetrical. I think this is some kind of fog dispenser, or perhaps reactive armor. I don't know, but we have 4 of these here and 3 of these here, which is nice. Also, this is nice. And this hatch is simple but fun. So yes, this is a nice looking toy, though as you can see the part of the transformation that makes this elevate above the front is kind of loose, and sometimes replacing it in the right place is kind of a task, so not very happy about that, but I will live. Also, seeing that this is Generation 1, we have a rub sign at the front which works with varying degrees of success. It is worn out. I mean, this toy is over 30 years old, so I can't expect prime condition from that. But on better days it works, it changes color a bit, so it reveals that this is in fact an Autobot. And surprisingly, the turret moves with a lot of squeak, which I can't get rid of even after tightening all of the parts, as screws necessary for that are easily accessible in robot mode. And with that said, I can start vehicle mode size comparisons, so of course I'm going to start with Generations Deluxe Warpath, whom I did transform in the past but not reviewed yet. As of now, with having the original, I'm really tempted to give this toy a full review treatment. Also, for some other G1 related comparisons, here is the Generation 2 deco of the original Minibot Beachcomber, as well as the original toy for Generation 1 Snarl. And for something slightly more modern, here we have the very first deluxe toy for movie Bumblebee, as well as Deluxe Studio Series Jazz, whom I'm about to review in Polish and perhaps in English slightly later as well. And with that said, it's time to transform Warpath into robot mode, which is very simple and probably can be done without even taking him off the ground. So first we grab his halves and split them apart. Now we use this hand, in my case, to lift the back over the front. And now I can also drop down the rare bits of the threads to form his arms, push back on the head, on the turret, and now use that aforementioned hatch to reveal Warpath's head, and that's pretty much it. This is his robot mode. And if I'm to describe this robot mode with a single word, that has to be adorable. I know Warpath is supposed to be a weapons expert, so technically speaking a very dangerous person, but his Minibot toy is just cute, adorable, and very charming to look at. It's blocky, it's simple, it hits many of my nostalgia and hobby buttons in a good way. Not all that many details to him that we see now that we haven't seen in tank mode. The back is rather plain. And now we have just some extra details revealed under this panel, as well as his hands are now more visible. And we see that also this, after lifting up, created a very visible distinction between his thighs and his knees. Nice. And we also have this nice head with black eyes, very characteristic head design, and separated eyes, which I had is not always the case with variations of this mold. And the fact that his turret and his main cannon is creating the center of his chest is also quite unique, quite interesting. Maybe not always practical when he's close to a wall, but still, as a display piece, this makes Warpath really interesting. And also, even if this being collapsed means it's supposed to stay in place, you can technically move his head a bit with the top of his chest. And you can move his arms up and down. And that's pretty much for his posability. That's still probably better than some of the other Minibots I know of. And this part tends to slightly lean backward when just left alone because of the age of the hinges and how they worn off, but I can live with that. Still, like I said, very adorable and charming robot mode. So it's time to commence robot mode comparisons now. So of course, again, we'll start with the other Warpath that I have. And I really like to look at this duo, especially knowing that this is basically the reincarnation of this. And while this looks kind of tough, or kind of like a soldier, like a professional warrior, as expected from his job, this looks just cute. So you could say this toy, after all these years, is now rougher and tougher. And some other G1 related toys. Here we have the first mold of Optimus Prime, my old and beloved Generation 1 First Aid of the Protectobot fame, as well as the Encore version of Generation 1 Ironhide. And for modern Transformers, here we have Studio Series First Deluxe of Bumblebee, as well as Stinger, as well as the newest incarnation of Dinobot Snarl. And for real-life objects, here we have the common cola can and $1 bill. So yes, I think I will surprise no one by admitting that I really like this toy. Yes, it's simple, perhaps even too much so, but the nostalgia factor, the interesting transformation scheme, the looks in both robot and vehicle mode are all creating a feeling of a very nice toy older than me. And perhaps this toy may be too simple for some people's tastes, but if you like Generation 1 or tank forming robots, or just old toys that can bring you back to the old days of long gone past, Warpath, I think, is a nice choice for your collection, especially if you can get him as cheap as I did. And that's all for this video review. I will be back with the next one soon, and until then, stay well. Polish Toy Guy, signing out.